welcome. Let's we can just start about the basics of audit and assurance. Just to introduce about it, this is the paper 8 of ACCA about that. Before starting this, just let me introduce about myself. My name is Muhammad Mubashir Nazir and my education, I did MBA in 1996, then I did ACCA in 2002. Then I added Certified Information Systems Audit in 2004. Then I added Certified Internal Audit in 2007 and then Certified in Risk Management Assurance in 2012. During CIA, the Institute of Internal Auditors of USA, they give me an award winner for William S. Smith Award. About my career, I started with the education in Pakistan in Punjab College, SCANS and Institute of Business Operations and Information Systems. Then I switched my career in multinational company. I started with Unilever. Then I added Pak Arab Refinery. Then I joined to Ernst& Young, where I worked in detail with Pakistan as well as in Kuwait. Then I joined to Moore Stephens, which was the biggest audit firm in Saudi Arabia. I joined there. Then I also worked with Amar Economic City, Rolaco Trading and Contracting Company, and in the same time I continued this teaching career as well, the Institute of Morgan International of the US, which chapter was available in Saudi Arabia. So I worked in there. So this is just an introduce, and I also get this award from Philippine Institute of Certified Public Accountants and also NESMA company, which was one of the biggest companies in Saudi Arabia. Now we start with the detail about assurance. What is this? You will get a question that we started the introduction of audit and why we started with assurance. In simple words, assurance is to make sure that what is right or wrong, whatever. If we think about a company, so company will have a good position, good situation, or acceptable their internal controls as well as their financial statements as well, or it may be unacceptable situation in that company, some unacceptable practices like a fraud or some other activities. This might be happen. So based on that we think about it. And who think about it? All the stakeholders of a company, like stockholders as well. They have audit committees, board of directors, CFO or CEO as well. Then customers, suppliers, bankers, employees, all of them are stakeholders of that company. So they want to know about the situation of that company, and they want to make sure that all the things are good or not. What's the situation? And then also, is there available in the company? What's the situation? The quality of their services as well as quality of their products, accuracy, especially about their financial statements, whether they are right or not according to the best practices in the world, performance of that company, what was their performance during last year or last quarter as well, and then existence of this company, whether this company in reality is it available or not. All these things, definitely stakeholders are interested to get such information. So to make sure for this assurance, this method is called audit. Audit is one form of assurance. There are many other methods, but the most used method is audit. It is an independent examination of an expression of opinion about it, about the company, to get an opinion by some independent people to make sure that what's the reality of this company. So, especially in which you might be interested about financial statements, whether they are right or not, operations of this company, what is their situation, marketing and sales, HR, human resources, what's the situation, information systems, how they are working in right way, procurement, purchasing, and all other functions of that company they know. So that's the audit is done, and audit is taken by two types of audits. One is external audit and other is internal audit. Internal audit, usually they are employees of that company who check in detail about all the functions of that company, financial statements, operations, marketing, sales, HR, procurement, information systems, and all other functions they review in detail. External auditors, they are usually in audit firm who are not employees of that company, and they work in detail, especially their focus is on financial statements to make sure that according to the best practices in the world, IFRS, whether according to it this financial statement is prepared, and is prepared, is it correct or not, so they check in that. And about other functions like operations, marketing, information systems as well, they check it, but just to make sure that financial statements are correct or not. So this is, they prepare. So both type of these auditors of external audits and internal auditors, they give their opinion in format of their statements. As a statement, this is, you can simply say, the audit reports they provide it, and they provide these this information to their stakeholders in details. Now we come on the next step. You know that organization structure of any time, their shareholders are the owners, and they select their some shareholders as a board of directors, and directors hire a chief executive officer, CEO, and then you know that there are different departments of marketing, operations, finance, services, etc. All of them are, they work there. Definitely each department will have their head of that department, and their team, they work according to it. This is one thing. But to make sure that the financial statements as well as their activities are correct according to the law, as well as according to the best practices in the world, which are based on the policies and procedures prepared by their shareholders and directors, they prepare it. So That's why to make sure some shareholders especially select their people who are corporate governance and audit committee. They work on this. This is their make sure to that all the activities are working according to the best practices in the world or not. What's the situation? And they report to the shareholders. So now definitely audit committee need their auditors as well. So they hire internal auditors, which are independent persons who check their marketing, operations, finance, and services. Then the audit committee also give an assignment to an audit committee which is called external audit. They work in detail to make sure that whether like all the things are working in a way, and especially their focus is on financial statements, because you have already studied in detail the accounting in which to make sure that the according to the IFRS financial statements are correct. So they check in that way. And then there is another function they need the audit committee, which is called risk management. On risk management, what they do, they just make sure that risk is coming to this company, and what is the company has prepared some their good internal controls to make sure that risks are managed in a right way. But definitely risk management is an just a part of operations of that company, so they report to the CEO. So simply for the audit committee, they have risk assurance, which is sometimes they are part of internal audit, or they hire some other special persons and they work in details in that way. Now we come about the organization. Organization is the social arrangement which pursue collective goals, which control to own performance of that company or that organization simply. Organization have different types. Commercial, in commercial means in a business to get money or profit for that. So the organization might be a sole traders or partnership or limited liability partnership or limited company. So right now we were talking about a company. So company has usually this audit function work on that, but many limited liability partnerships or partnership firms or even some sole traders also sometimes they prepare audit according to the law of their country and according to their needs. They work on that. So division, some companies usually have the huge business, so they have different divisions, subsidiaries. Companies also have, so for all of them they that they prepare the audit. There are some not for profit organizations as well. If they need, they also prepare audit. Public sector, which is the government departments, so they also prepare the audit to make sure that their practices are right or not, what's the situation. And then cooperative societies, they also need audit according to just stakeholders their reports to make sure that all the situation is right. So this is just an introduction of organization and that. Just overview as we discussed about the structure of any organization is like this. And based on that, I can share my experience like an MR. I worked as internal audit manager and I worked on these are different functions. I prepared audit on that. audit about sales, audit about security, about treasury, what's the situation, infrastructure, industrial valley they had. So I conducted audit of that. Design consultants, their design consultants, how they worked in right way or not. Project control unit, they had a department of controls to make sure that their controls are good or not. I worked in that. Similar Oracle systems, this was an IT audit I did. Then I audit about risk management as well, whether they are managing risks in right way or not. Then accounts receivables, Sarbanes-Oxley compliance to make sure that according to the American law, Sarbanes-Oxley, according to this company is working in that way or not. Quality assessment, I have conducted this audit. Then I also work fraud risk assessment to make sure that is there any fraud in such transactions or not. And I also conducted audit about marketing. Then bank guarantee, about that I conducted audit. These are just an examples of different functions I conducted audit on that. Similarly, real estate, land sales, procurements, customer care, I have worked. Similarly, I also worked as an audit in Unilever. I worked on inventory of ice cream, whether to make sure that inventory is right, and if the inventory is taken out of it, whether the cash is came back or not. Similarly, in Nesma company, who gave me this award, I conducted IT audit and corporate governance. In detail, I worked on that. That's why they gave this award to me about this work. Compliance audit in Rolaco company, I worked in purchasing, inventory and sales of heavy equipment division in detail about their inventory, and then quality of finance department, I worked that. Then human resources, what is their situation, and credit management. So these are different functions of these companies I have worked. So this is just an example of an audit I worked in detail, in depth about them. What's the situation? This is just my career of these areas. Now, just I will suggest you some words, just because these are key terminologies which are used in audit. So you will need to memorize these words as well. Because any books, when you will study about audit, you will get these words commonly there. Independent examination. What is this? This is an audit, is an example. That examination in an independent way to check that everything is good in a company or not. A company or any other organization, they work on this. And then opinion, give the auditors that what is the situation of that company or any other type of organization. Positive assurance they give. Positive assurance means the cash flow forecast is correct. This is just an example. There are many other examples. The accounts show a true and fair value, which means that according to the best practices in the world, according to the IFRS, that accountants have worked in the right way. So this is positive assurance. Negative assurances as well. Just an example, we have discovered that nothing wrong available, or it may be they explain that some wrong things are available or not available. Whatever the situation, they give an opinion about it. The basis of forecast is not unreasonable. Like about any future plans, if the company or organization they prepare. So some auditors, especially internal auditors, they review that forecast they are making for their future plans. These are not right or these are good. That's okay. They explain it. So this is another word is corporate governance, which means that to make sure that everything is working in the right way. So this is corporate governance. Now this is the approach I during teaching ACCA and MBAs and other courses. This is my style. That class lecture. This is an example. I am doing it. Then I will give status the students the case studies. The real in the real companies when I have worked, so I give examples in detail the case studies. Then sharing our practical experience that what we did and what was the result I found it. Question answers we discussed with the students that whatever their questions I explain them. Then individual attention that every student I try my best to that individually their ideas coming in their mind. Then I give home assignments, give to the students and review it and give them suggestions, a sort of an audit of the students. And then brainstorming is a part of these studies that I get there brainstorming some questions I give to you and you will have to give answers and I will give an opinion about your answers. So this is my style of studies. So during this paper 8 of ACCA, at least these topics we will cover in the coming lectures. Overview of audit. What is audit? Like we started this one. What is assurance? External audit, internal audit, information systems audit. These are different types of audits. So we will study in details. Then what is corporate governance and how they work? Methodology of audit, whether it's right or not. Professional ethics, which is part of the audit, which you will study in ACCA. And my experience is that you must get some questions in the exams. International scandals. I will share with you that international level or in many companies some scandals happened and how the auditors do in that way. The stages of an audit, this is the method of audit, how they work. Audit evidence, how they get the evidence to make sure that whether thing is right or wrong. Then this is also a part of our audit is risk assessment because based on that they prepare their audit plans to make sure that what to check and what right now immediately not check, we will check after that time. I will also share with you WAFI. WAFI is the accounting and audit organization of Islamic financial institutions as well. Although you will say that this might not be a part of ACCA in many countries, but some countries it is important in this paper as well. We will study in detail now the methodologies of external and internal audit, the plannings and risk assessment. What is planning? How the auditors give risk assessment and give a plan. Audit strategy, what should be there? Evidence and sampling. Now, what is this? Evidence is basically to make sure that this is right or wrong. And sampling, this is part of their to get evidence because practically it is not possible for an auditor or auditors to get all the 100% transactions. So that's why they give a sample to just to make sure that things are right or wrong. What's the situation? Internal control evaluation of that, whether the company or organization is internal controls are good or not. Substantive procedures. Substantive procedures are to check in depth in each types of transactions to make sure whether what's the situation of that company. Audit finalization and reporting. This is then the at the tail of this process that they prepare report, international standards based on audit, what are the best practices about audit, this we will study, and then the audit approach, what is the approach of auditors, and then fieldwork, meeting and challenges. Actually, fieldwork is the practical work done to get the evidence. This is their thing. We will also study some fraud investigations, how this type of audit we do. IT audit, this is an information technology audit, how this audit is conducted in that way. Outsourced audit is also something like if the company does not have enough employees or auditors enough, so they give outsource. Even the internal audit, they give an outsource their work. An external audit, definitely this is outsourced because independent auditors of some other firms, they work on that to conduct their external audit. Audit related services, what type of services about the audit should you study? I will suggest you some books about ACCA paper 8 about this audit and assurance. What is this? Please study this. As if you live in Pakistan, then you should also audit and assurance. This book prepared by Institute of Chartered Accountants of Pakistan, and for UK as well, they have ACCA also have this audit and assurance. So you should study their standards, the best practices. About internal audit, I will suggest a company of KN Spencer Pickett, Mr. who prepared this book. So please also study that so you will get a depth knowledge about it. Now just an overview of audit committee. They have internal auditors as well as external auditors. They work in a different way. So the objective is, what is the audit committee do? They are usually their stakeholders, their shareholders. Their shareholders hire from their selected shareholders who work on that. So audit committee is composed of independent financially literate members with at least one member having expertise in financial reporting. The committee will include board members and outsiders that are appointed by the nominating committee. They should assist the board in fulfilling its oversight responsibility. So, what is this oversight? They are actually review and check about all the functions, the different departments of a company or organization, and just to make sure that things are working in right way or not. So they work in detail. Responsibility of audit committee is usually to make sure financial statements are correct, right. Internal controls are good or not, and they report to the all the shareholders, even stakeholders. They hire their team of internal audit. They also give this outsource their assignment of external audit to some other firms. Compliance, compliance, which means to make sure that the organization is working according to the law as well as according to the best practices in the world, and also according to the policies and procedures which prepared by the directors, so their company is working according to it or not, and then they report to all their stakeholders as well in detail. Authority of audit committees to conduct authorize investigation. So this is the authority of them to investigate, and usually their team of internal auditors or external auditors or their some risk assurance, their team, they work on that. Retain outside services providers. They like external audit, they outside services, they get it. Seek information from insiders and meet with officers, external auditors, and counsel in detail. So, this is their responsibilities. This is just an overview of the audit committee. Principles of audit engagement. During audit, what they do, the auditors. Risk assessment, the framework, they make sure that what risks are coming to this company or what risks has came out and what's the solution they have done. Audit Universe is a part of all the issues they have observed, right or wrong, whatever it is. So this is part of this, and this is called Audit Universe, and they also prepare the risk register to make sure that what risks are relevant to this company and what solution they have done. Audit resources requirements, definitely this is because audit team needs some resources, like for example they hire their team members, they also get their computers as well as their cars to go to different locations to make sure that what's the working in that way. Selecting engagements, they select that audit, at which time usually audit committee ask them to work first on this one, and according to their plan, so they work, the audit team, they work on it. Conflict management, they review whether the conflict is there in this company or it is not there according to the Sarbanes-Oxley or the law of that country. So they review in detail. Fieldwork with the practically go to different locations about this company and they get the evidence. So this is the next their step. Analyze and interpret data, that based getting all the information, then they give an analysis that what might be the implications on that company. It may be positive or negative, whatever it is. Develop work papers in detail. They write in work papers all the data, and right now it is in a computers, they prepare it. Interim progress report. Interim progress reports usually during, like, for a period of that they are doing an audit, so they sometimes they work on interim progresses, that what they have done, what is not yet done, and they report to the audit committee. Then conclusion is the final result, and they also auditors give some recommendations about their management to do in that way. And then report engagement return. So this is the result, that they prepare the report, and then clients satisfaction survey also conduct to make sure that the auditees the management of different functions or their departments. So just to get sure that their survey, to make sure that their satisfaction, what's the situation. So this is a reverse situation to make sure that auditors work in the right way. And then engagement staff performance appraisal. This is at the end of result that okay, your audit team is working in a right way or not. So assurance engagements, these are different types of audits and other engagements. They work to assure that these are right or not. So usually financial audit is the main focus, which is external auditors work on their financial statements. But internal auditors also review this. Then also, if we get some red flags, so they also work fraud investigation. Due diligence audit with they work especially when a company is selling to another company some big assets of them. So definitely due diligence to make sure that this what's the situation of this company. Operational audit is like the audit of marketing, audit of their operations in detail. Inventory audit is to make sure that inventory is available or not available, and if not available, whether the money is get or not. So all these about the inventory audit they work. Risk and control self-assessment. This is some internal auditors do to make sure. Also, sometimes external auditors work on that. That what are the risks of that companies and how the controls to just to give an assessment whether the company is in the right way working. Security audits, this is security, whether the security about this company is good or not. This is also sort of information systems audit is also part of that. And sometimes, like in addition to information system security, also we see the physical security as well. Audit we do it. Third party contract auditing, like sometimes a company give some assignment to another firms or companies, so auditors also check them as well to make sure whether it's right or not. Privacy audits, privacy, like it is private information is available or controls are not good, so they give this in detail. Then compliance according to the law, according to the best practices in the world, and compliance according to the policies and procedures prepared by their directors. Then forensic audit is also a type of an audit. This is especially in cases of some illegal activities like a fraud or some other illegal activities. So that type of audit is called forensic audit. This is sometimes it's a part of police or some other departments or some outside some outsource some work in that way as well. Quality audit is that to make sure that the quality of their products and services are good or not. Performance audit, how is the performance prepared by this company? This is also part of due diligence. Environmental audit to make sure that according to the environment this company is in the right way or not. Then an example is HR audit. So these are, you can say that assurance in the different areas are checked by the auditors, and most of them are done by the internal auditors. But financial statements audit also external auditors check up to some extent to different areas. At the end of this lecture, I just an overview of the code of ethics about auditors, and make sure that in your exam you will get these. Exam must be there. Code of ethics. First thing is integrity. Auditors must have integrity and honesty. They must be honest. Objectivity. They should objective. They must not be subjective. They should work in a objectivity way. They should check. Confidentiality and competency they must have. Selflessness, and then accountability. About the auditors also accountability must be there. Integrity. Integrity, I just gave some detailed examples. Perform, work with honesty, diligence, and responsibility must be there. Observe the law and make disclosures expected by the law and the profession. Not knowingly be party of any illegal activity or engage in discreditability, discreditable act, which means, for example, you can see that if an auditor do some illegal activity, for example, they start a fraud, so then auditor will not have the integrity. They will not be honest. Similarly, if they do some illegal activities, so definitely then this profession, their value will decrease as a result of that. So that's why auditors must not be these things. These are some examples I'm sharing with you. But you please see in the Google as well as in your books as well, you will get a lot of more other examples. Respect and contribute to the legitimate and ethical objectives of the organization. Like auditors should help the organization to improve ethics and legal activities. Auditors must be objectives, not participate in activities or relationship to may impair unbiased assessment. So if an auditor become biased, so it means they are not working in the right way. Not accept any gifts. This is an example. Auditors must not give any gift from auditee. About them, they are giving an audit, they must not get any gift. Disclose all facts required for clearer interpretation of reported activities. That if, for example, some judgment is required according to their audit report, they should also disclose that their analysis is based on some, like they have interpreted in that way. They should disclose all these things. And confidentiality must be there by the auditors. Prudent in the use and protection of information, especially about the companies. They should share with stakeholders only, but not to the any other their competitors. They should not share with them. Not use information for personal gain or the detriment of the organization. This is just an example that if you know that the companies, their shares value will increase in some future time, because you know that the performance of that company is working in that way, then the auditor must not purchase their shares at that time, because the value will increase and they will get some profit as a result of that. So auditors are not allowed to do this. You will say that who will make sure that auditors are have these ethics or not? So this is the responsibility of their audit committee, as well as ACCA also work in that way to make sure about their members, to make sure that working according to ethics or not, and if they get some information about negative way, so they can cancel the certification about that person who do it unethical way. Then competency and accountability must be there by the auditors. Only engage in activities that they process possess the necessary knowledge, skills and experience must be there, otherwise audit will quality will not be good. Perform surveys in accordance with standards, continually improve their proficiency, and then the obligation to account for its activities, accept responsibilities for them. So this is like an attitude. Their attitude must be according to the ethics in the world. So now I will request you that a question, this was prepared by the Institute of Internal Auditors about code of ethics. So they ask this question about these four. So please give your answer, and then you can see the answer match with the Google as well after that. But right now, what you have studied about the code of ethics, so please think about it. What is right? What you should select it. Another question, so please select this one. So just as an example about the audit, I have asked some questions. This is another third question. Please select. This is fourth question. Please think about it and select it. And these ethics are also part of ACCA. Think about it. This is fifth question. This is sixth question. And please select this one. So whatever the in your assignments about the answers when you send to me, please send to me in the email, and I will suggest you whether your answer is right or wrong. So thank you very much taking your time. So you can please continue with the other lectures about the audit, about paper 8 of ACCA. So please study in depth, also study the books, and inshallah I hope that your all the skills will get it, and then hopefully your results will be good. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Salam.